I don't know what to say. Except, welcome to Talk Around Riyadh, the Wheel of Time showcast. I am your host, Joe Perry, here with my co-hosts, Jen Isgro and Tom Kokoza. How are you doing tonight, Jen? And how's your hair?
My hair's just all right. I'm doing better than my hair, personally. Excited about our topic. We got some good stuff to talk about tonight, and I think we should get going.
Tom, what about you? How are you doing?
I'm all right. Think I'm starting to get a sore throat, so
Oh,
this
now.
should be a fun. It's fun that we
Is
do
it
like an
is
hour
it
and a half podcast.
monkeypox?
Gee, I hope not. I hope there's no.
Shingles?
Hope there's no pox or monkeys involved in whatever
COVID?
this is. So far, no. Tested negative
A tumor?
earlier today.
Jesus.
Hopefully, I don't know, man. I guess it could be.
You're supposed to say it's
It's
not
not the
a
Not the
tumor.
tumor.
Come on.
You know. So about a month ago, my annoying, lovely children who jump on my couches as if they're in a trampoline park, broke my couch. My couch has it has two built-in recliners, and they jumped on it so much the recliner would not close anymore. They just popped it open and it stayed open. Right, they busted the springs. Right.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. So we had to we put like a fold-out table over the recliner so the kids would like bang into, like they're little, they wouldn't like bang into it or get their feet caught in it or whatever the hell else. And so finally today, like we ordered a new couch. So I got rid of the old couch, which it's big and my house isn't particularly big, but I'm able to like move that couch around, like flip it upside down and move it over when I'm cleaning. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I can get out of the house, no problem. That was quite a large problem. I forgot that the staircase with a dual post is very close to my front door, and the couch was a lot wider than I pictured it being, or the hole between the new post and the front door was a lot smaller than I pictured it being. So there was a period of time this early evening where I thought I would just have a couch in my front door of my house forever.
I It must have been more difficult that the recliner was out and you couldn't close it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that limited the way I could turn the couch, because if I turned it a certain way, the recliner would just flip open. Yeah, it was not fun. And it's not a sectional, but it's in three sections because each side has a recliner and then the middle doesn't. So like you would get like it a third of the way through a part of an obstacle, and then like the other two-thirds would like lock into on one side of the door jamb or the other. So it just made it extra fun.
You
But
did
it's
it by
out.
yourself?
Then Michelle ended up having to help me. I thought I could do it myself. I was wrong. But it's out. It's outside in front of my house now. For garbage men or somebody who needs a broken couch to pick up.
Did you get the new couch already?
Nah, it's coming in like a week.
Oh, you should have asked the guys who deliver the new couch to take out the old one, throw them an extra.
I wanted to get
20
rid of it.
bucks.
It was like a dangerous thing waiting to happen, but I just waited until we had like a new couch coming. Then I can.
Or you could have just took a chainsaw to it while
Yeah,
it
that's
was
what
in
I
your
was
house.
thinking. Also safe for the children.
Yeah.
Chainsaws.
Yeah.
With
that
a
was-
chainsaw in the middle of your living room.
It was going to have to, because it's got like a metal, like the bottom of it is like a one-piece metal frame. So I was trying to figure out how I was going to have to dismantle this thing, because there was a period of time where it just wasn't moving and I couldn't get it back the way it came either. It was like very well wedged.
No disassemble. That
Well,
was your couch.
that's our furniture moving segment of the
So I'm
episode.
doing well,
That's
Joe.
couch cast.
Couch cast. Oh boy.
Ah,
All right, so we've got a lot to talk
Right.
about tonight. So we might as well
wouldn't
just
know it.
with that riveting account of Tom's couch.
I didn't realize that story would take that much time. I'm sorry.
It didn't need to take
It's
that much
couch
time,
corner.
couch.
That's right, it's couch
I
corner. Didn't
called
we
you
have-
couch.
Oh, Tom finally has a segment.
Didn't we have a thing?
I know.
Didn't we
Tom's
have a thing-
bombastic. That
No,
Oh,
I'm
no.
not a segment, but like, didn't we have something before on this show where we were talking about couches or?
We were talking about
Yes, we're talking about how
furniture
and
and
if your
rooms.
couch isn't against the wall, you're rich or something.
We were talking about lounges and
Yeah,
living
your couch in the
rooms
middle of the
and
room with
family
space
rooms
behind it,
and
then you have a lot of money.
things like that. Anyway, in other things, not couches, like the Wheel of Time, maybe, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. We're going to be doing one of our patented deep dives. It's been a long time since we've done a deep dive, I think. So I think we're due for one. And this is one that we need to do before season 2 comes up. And it's kind of something we've been pushing off a bit just because it's going to be a multi-part deep dive because these types are usually so. But before we get into that, Jen, what's happening?
It's everyone's favorite segment. What's happening? Let's start it off with a cluck. It's hashtag hen news. Juliet Howland writes on Instagram, my Avi hen absolutely loves dust baths, but she hasn't quite caught on to the fact that it's normal to shake soon after. She's the only hen who has ever done this. She walks around for ages with her feathers thick with dirt. Maybe it's her equivalent of a body mud wrap, and she's deliberately leaving it on for a certain amount of time in order to reap the benefits. My girls never fail to amuse. So happy they are not in a tin or a pie. So, first of all, have any of you eaten chicken from a tin?
Yes.
No.
Elaborate.
My cats have.
Yeah, I mean like chicken from the sea in a tin.
Yeah,
no, I mean actual
I've had
chicken,
like
cat
canned
food.
chicken, like canned tuna fish.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never even seen that.
I've seen it before.
Thought it was a British thing, maybe.
I think it was a poor thing.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, if you have canned chicken soup or...
There you go.
I immediately thought of cat food, so... Yeah, canned chicken's a thing,
never even...
says.
Okay, anyway.
So Avi is a dirty hen, huh?
I was going to say, how awesome is it that Avi Henda is most comfortable in, like, dust and sand?
Yeah.
I like that. Very well done.
Yeah, you dirty little
all right, you're taking it in a different direction than my joke.
Maybe she doesn't want to be... She's keeping herself dirty so nobody will eat her.
Maybe. Is that a thing? She said no other hens do this, so probably not.
I don't think hens walk around aware that people eat them.
Well, they know they're predators, though, right?
Did you ever see that movie Chicken Run?
I did.
They're pretty smart.
They're made of clay in that movie.
I didn't see the movie, sorry. Go ahead, Jen.
Okay, so anyway, I'm moving on. Second tonight, our favorite dark friend, Izuka Hoyle, aka Dana, has been nominated for a BAFTA Scotland Award for Best Actress in a Film for the movie Boiling Point. So she's up against Marley Sue from Our Ladies and Tilda Swinton from The Souvenir Part 2.
Poor Izuka. Tilda Swinton. I don't even know what movie she was in. I didn't even see this.
The Souvenir Part 2.
I didn't even see it, but it's Tilda Swinton, so she's probably going to win this. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, anyway, I will tell you about the movie Boiling Point per Wikipedia. It's a 2021 British drama film. It's a one-shot film set in a restaurant kitchen. And it's an expansion of a short film from 2019. So that's pretty amazing that it's a one-shot film. I love watching stuff like that. And I was going to say Dana. Izuka plays Camille, or Camille, maybe, who's from France, and struggles with the language barrier. She's a chef, a new chef in the restaurant. So it is available to stream in the US. You might have to pay for it on certain apps, but you can check that out. And good luck to Izuka. It's still, even if you're up against Tilda Swinton, it doesn't mean you're not going to win. And it is an honor to even be nominated.
It does.
I would imagine. I'm not telling you it's an honor. I imagine she already feels
it is
that.
an honor. You can say that with confidence, Jen, I think.
Okay.
I just want to mention that this movie Boiling Point stars Stephen Graham, best known for his film This Is England and the sequels This Is England 86, This Is England 88, and This Is England 90.
What? I've never heard of any of those movies or him. Is this a real thing?
Or you might know him as Al Capone from Boardwalk Empire, as Tommy from Snatch. He was also in Gangs of New York and a lot of other films.
No, never seen any of that, but I
What?
believe you. No.
Those are all great movies.
They are, and I
Those.
believe you, but I just haven't seen any of them.
You should go see them.
Go see them?
Yeah,
Okay. Where do you want me to go?
wherever you have to go to see them. Your living room, your bedroom,
Okay. I'll go to my living room.
Blockbuster.
Oh, they're coming out with a
Aw.
new show about Blockbuster.
Aw.
It's called Blockbuster, I think. Anyway, it's not going to be the same as actually working there. Anyway, Tom's allowed to talk about couches, and I can't talk about Blockbuster.
We got a riveting. People have already turned off this episode.
No, they haven't. Okay,
Sure.
our last post for the evening, Marcus Rutherford, who plays Perrin and who has a love-hate relationship with his axe, posted an Instagram story at an axe throwing facility with the caption, "Back that axe up." So Marcus definitely knows the content that we would like to see. And we appreciate that, Marcus.
It says that on one of the targets. Back that axe up, and the one
Okay.
he was throwing at says Kickaxe. Kickaxe.com, so I'm guessing that's the name of the place that
That's
he went to.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun. Maybe we'll see him. Maybe he's training to throw axes in season 3.
Yeah.
Probably
He,
not. But...
he looks really close, but is that just me, or is that the perspective of the?
yeah, I think it's the perspective, because where that green like wall is, it's probably deep in there. It's
Yeah.
past that. If you look at the other side, you could see
That's
like the
what she
side
said.
next to it. God damn it! I can't talk anymore. It's a problem. All right.
I'm sorry,
Anyway, that's all for me. Back to you, Joe.
Well, we forgot about it last week, but it's back. Where's What Origins?
This is something you should have asked, Rafe. Where's What Origin?
I thought about that afterward. All right, we're back with another segment of Where's What Origins. Tom, any news that you've heard on What Origins?
Joe, I know that we've been looking for it for a while. So I got the research team working hard on this. And the report just came in right as the music was playing. So I'm going to just take a look at it right now. Not on TV, Joe.
All right,
what I got.
Jen, any news that you've heard about Where's What Origins?
I have heard some news, and the news I've heard is that it is not out yet.
All right. There's our Where's What Origins segment for the week. All right.
What's new?
Yes.
Change the outro music?
Yes.
Snappy.
Well, we got a complaint already that the
quit.
intro music is too long.
quit.
So
I think it's so long that it comes back around to being
Yes,
funny again.
exactly
That's my
right.
personal opinion.
He comes back around to be funny.
all right. There is no news to talk about today, although I think that's okay. I think we had a lot of news to talk about last week. There are some things I keep forgetting that I wanted to post on social media about. I was taking a deeper look at the teaser that we got at New York Comic Con, and also looking back at the BTS footage. And I found a couple of interesting things that have probably already been pointed out by other people. But since I don't watch many other Wheel of Time content, partially because I don't have time, partially because I don't want to taint my thoughts and bring that into this show and steal other people's thoughts, at least I can play dumb. Plausible deniability is what they say.
Right.
So I'm
I have
trying
no
to get those.
recollection of that.
Yes. Yes. The clear and present danger reference, was that? Or
Yeah. They both are.
yeah. So anyway, I'll try to post those on social media soon. But we're going to get into our deep dive. We're diving real deep into this one. This is about the Seanchan, right? We We obviously are going to be getting a lot of Seanchan in season 2 just from all the footage we've seen. We've seen tons of Seanchan footage. So we said, we took it to the patrons and said, what do you want to hear about this week? And they all said Seanchan. What's so funny, Tom? Why are you laughing?
Someone in Discord asked a question. What's worse? What's worser, Seanchan or 4chan? That was funny.
I don't know. And we will not be answering that question on this episode.
Thanks, Rara.
Yes. All right. So let's get into it. We've got a lot to talk about. There's a lot to go over. Like I said, this is going to be multiple episodes, whether it's 2 or 3 episodes, I don't know. I think we could get it done in 2 episodes, but let's see what we get through today, and then we'll just kind of fly by the seat of the pants. It'll be as many episodes as it needs to be. Let's just say that. So we'll start off with... Wait, I'm sorry. Before I start, I want to ask one question. When you both first read the book, how did you pronounce Seanchan?
I don't. It says Seanchan in the back of
Yeah,
the book,
Seanchan.
so
You all looked in the back and
I
just...
think I probably got it from there. I don't remember ever pronouncing it another way, like Seanchan.
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, one, I do look at the glossaries. I remember the first time reading the series, I looked at the glossaries all the time.
Yeah.
And it was easy. My cousin Sean, I think we talked about this on the show before. My cousin Sean is Sean Sean.
Mm-hmm.
So it was an easy pickup in my brain.
All right. Good for all of you. Be interested to hear everybody else's thoughts, how they pronounced it when they first saw it.
Joe?
I do recall doing like Seanchan. Pretty sure that's how
Seanchan.
Not Seanchan. I think I did Seanchan when I...
They're from the sea.
Yeah. Anyway.
It works.
You know what's another word that's spelled similar to that for years I didn't make the connect. It took me a while to get it together, was the name Seamus. I always thought the name Seamus was spelled kind of like S-H-A-M-U-S.
Well, it can be both, right?
And then I thought it was Seamus. When I saw the word, I thought it was Seamus. And I was like, Seamus, okay. Not connecting it with the name Sean. But anyway, yeah, this is a terrible segment. Seanchan. Let's talk about the country, the continent, the people, all called Seanchan. So let's start off with a little bit of a geography lesson. So Seanchan is a separate continent than the one that we're on for most of the stories. I don't even think there's a name for the continent that we, like the Westlands and the Waste are on, and I don't think there's a name for that. But this is another continent. It's about 3,000 leagues across the Arith Ocean. So the Arith Ocean is the ocean to the west. It is much larger than the continent we explore in the books. It's approximately 1,500 leagues wide at its greatest breadth in the southern hemisphere. From the Mountains of Doom in the north to the southernmost point of the continent is a distance of approximately 4,000 leagues. And this is pulled from the Big White Book, or The World of Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time. The continent is divided into 2 major landmasses and has 4 major islands to the south, east, and west, as well as 3 islands located in the dividing channel. There is also a blight bordered by the Mountains of Doom, named by the invading armies who saw similarity to those of the Westlands. So they named it the same mountains as the Westlands. The blight, however, in Seanchan is considered less dangerous there, as Trollocs and Myrddraal were completely wiped out in this part of the world during the millennium after the breaking. Although it's said that you do occasionally run into some Drakkar and other Shadowspawn, but it's not nearly as populous as the blight of the Westlands.
I have a comment I would like to make about this.
Sure.
I think it's strange that Seanchan is so large, even larger than the other continent, and yet it appears that the culture is the same. It's like all one big
homogenous.
Yeah, it's like everybody is the same from Seanchan. Like they all the same culture. They all follow the same rules, and
yes,
it's just weird that they wouldn't have split off into like smaller countries.
Oh well,
we're gonna literally like
that.
From pole to pole.
We're going to get into that, Jen. I'm going to explain why that is. But we do know, like, the people themselves vary greatly in their appearance, right? We have people from, darker skins, lighter skins, tall, short, red hair, white hair, blue hair. So we know the people themselves are very, very in look. But you're right. They all have a similar culture. And I'm going to talk about why that is. Um, so I just one last bit. Like the blight in Seanchan is sometimes referred to as the lesser blight, which I wonder if people get upset that it's the lesser blight. Don't call me the lesser
Who?
blight. I
People
don't
who
know.
live in the blight?
The people from the blight.
Well, we
The
don't care about their
the shadow spawn might have a
opinions.
complex.
Does the blight go across? No, the blight is part of the continent. So there's like there's
Is there
not
a
like a
blighted
top
ocean?
part.
Is that what you mean?
What?
Is there like a blighted ocean?
Well,
She
yeah,
means
but I
does it
mean, it's not
connect?
like Antarctica. Like it doesn't connect up top
No,
or
there's
whatever's up
actually
top. Or
it is a totally separate continent. The blights do not connect.
okay.
I believe there are like polar ice masses in the north and south,
Okay.
but those don't connect. I don't think to the to either any of the continents. To be honest with you, I think they're totally separate. All right, so a little bit about that history and the culture, Jen. So before Arthur Hawkwing sent his son Luther Pendrag, nicknamed the Hammer by the Seanchan. I wonder if it was the Seanchan women who named him that. And his armies crossed the ocean in free year 992. Seanchan was made up of many nations, varying in size, most of which were ruled by Aes Sedai. So it was separate. Everybody had their own nations and whatnot, Jen, like you were talking about. There were frequent wars and constant shifting nation borders, consuming or dividing them. The ruling Aes Sedai formed temporary alliances with one another, but often plotted and schemed behind each other's backs.
I have another question.
Go for it, Jen.
I know it says Aes Sedai, but do they mean channelers or are they actually Aes Sedai that have gone?
They're Aes Sedai, I believe.
So they've gone over. Like, how did people get there? I thought that when Arthur Hawkwing sent his people over, that it was like the first time
They're not
they
Aes
ever really
Sedai.
came together.
I think they're Aes Sedai in the second age sense of the word.
Yes, these are
Not in the
yes. I
So
think
in the
too.
first age
or
and second age,
Age of Legends Aes Sedai, like just channelers, any
Yeah.
random channeler.
These are Age of Legends Aes Sedai, I think, post breaking. That lived over on the Seanchan continent, that I guess had gone there during the breaking maybe, and set up shop there.
the breaking didn't separate like those continents were always separate. It wasn't like a Pangea situation. Right?
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about that. Wasn't the continents definitely were changed? Now I don't remember if it was Seanchan was part of. We could probably look at some maps.
Yeah.
I feel like there were maps when we did our history there. I think there were some maps of that.
I know land masses changed. I just didn't know if it was that drastic.
It was that drastic. We don't know how drastic it was, but it was drastic enough that like continental masses changed, right? So there's a really, really big ocean, so probably
not
not
much.
But yeah.
And if there were channelers there, then they had to be male channelers, so they also had a breaking, you would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oh yeah, the breaking I think wasn't just localized to the Westland, so to speak. So these are just Aes Sedai, and I don't know if these are probably Aes Sedai from the breaking, but there's probably also some Aes Sedai like White Tower Aes Sedai there, right? Because the Aes Sedai are all over the place. Anyway, these Aes Sedai often were scheming and plotting against each other, and apparently assassinations were the most common cause of death amongst the Aes Sedai and those who held power. So there was a lot of killing going on, and sneaky assassination type killing. So during the constant warring, nations often shifted alliances, and there was little trust between anyone. An old quote that I found says, "Those few who were truly faithful to their word were considered fools." So this is like a very cutthroat type culture that we have right now in Seanchan. And it was due to this constant division and lack of trust that Luther Pendrag and his descendants were able to conquer Seanchan. So this kind of reminds me of at least me specifically, of like the Gauls and the back in like the Roman times where the Gallic tribes could never really unify under one, and unite themselves to stave off the Romans, and that's basically why Caesar was able to kind of take over so easily, because there was just no unity among them. And sorry, Tom, if I stole that from you, if you were going to say something about that later on, but
Sorry,
that's what it
I'll
made
say
me
later.
think of. So Luther lost trust in the native-born Seanchan. This, on top of his existing distrust of Aes Sedai from his father's difficulties, grew into outright hatred for them, which I think is understandable, right? You were back in the Westlands. Your father was having a lot of issues with Aes Sedai. You come over here. There's more Aes Sedai, and they seem to be plotting and scheming as well, and that can kind of, I think, turn somebody against you and make you grow into an outright hatred for them. So I get that. But this is crazy. This part. It took nearly 300 years though for the conquest of Seanchan to be complete. So this what they call the consolidation was not like Luther didn't finish it himself. This continued
Right.
on for hundreds of years before it was finally done. So while there was all of this warring in between the nations of Seanchan, they seemed to be able to hold out for a very long time.
Well, it's also huge, right? So
It is.
just the amount
And
of time
like,
it takes to just get everywhere.
yeah, and like we said, there were large islands, there's two big land masses, so I imagine there's a lot of you know, seafare or sea warfare, sorry, going on. So it was probably quite an undertaking. 300 years, though, it's a long time to finally conquer a place. I'm trying to think of anything in history that took 300 years to conquer.
Well, I'm not hyper familiar with it, but how long did it take for the Roman Empire to reach its peak? Right? It wasn't Caesar didn't do it by himself, right?
No, that's right. It did. They slowly but there were different like cultures involved. But yeah, I guess so. It's all one continent. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's a good
Um,
point.
yeah. And even Genghis Khan, as successful as he was, right? He had his kids who continued on the the conquest, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And
So,
they almost did it.
right.
So it was
Teasing my stuff for part two or three.
it was another 2 centuries before the last of the resistance was squashed. So even after the 300 years of consolidation, there was still another 200 years before the last of the resistance was finally squashed, and Luther's descendants reigned a land totally at peace, or as peaceful as can be. It was no easy task going against a powerful Aes Sedai opposition, but with the discovery of the Adam, which enabled him to force capture Aes Sedai to serve him, and later the discovery of Soldam, it meant that he no longer needed Aes Sedai allies at all. This would be the foundation of the Seanchan Empire for years to come. It is fairly certain that in the beginning, Luther knew that Soldam were women who could be trained to use the One Power, but with his apathy toward Aes Sedai, this information was likely suppressed. So I want to ask this. There's no right or wrong answer for this. Do you think that Luther did know that Soldam could channel and people back then knew that?
I have a note here asking, how did he not know that? How could he not know? Like, and or how could the girl, Diane, that helped him,
Mm-hmm.
the absolute moron that like created the Adam or found it, how does she not know? She had to know too.
Yeah, that's a good question, right? You create a Tirangriel. She must have tested it, right? But did she? Right, so she must have tested it, right? So she had to have tested it on a woman who could channel, right? And
Right.
I'm assuming she would have been the one bearing the leash, and maybe she didn't think that there was a connection between her being able to channel and.
Okay.
No, I don't think. I think, yeah, I think that she knew. I think that he, as a, probably, I'm making an assumption he's highly educated, being that he's the son of, a king of many nations. You know, definitely experienced person knows the way that this thing, like way that channeling works, and that some people can be taught and some people naturally spark, whatever. But part of me, yeah, I think it's more like, well, I hate them, and this way I'll be able to ensnare them all, either via slavery or via the mechanisms of slavery that like ensnare the Saldam as much as the body, right? So I think it's more just like keep it on the DL, which we know the Seanchan leadership is very good at, like, when we have secrets, nobody knows about them, kind of a thing. And then that's it. And I think then that knowledge got suppressed, and over time, it was lost.
Maybe we have a sphere type scenario, Tom, where they all agreed to forget.
Don't bring the end of that.
Just ruined Sphere for me.
Sphere, the end of Sphere ruins Sphere for everybody. I love that. That book is great
It's a
until
good
like the
book.
last 5 pages of it. I threw it across the room. I threw the book across the room. That's how bad the end of it was.
So if you can I forget this answer, but can the Damani not sense that the Soldame can channel?
So hold on, I'll read a quote of what the Adam is. So, the Adam is a tirangriel believed to be unique to Seanchan, used to control a woman who can channel. The most common is usually in the form of a silvery metal collar and bracelet linked by a leash of the same material. The Adam can only be used by a woman who has at least the potential to channel, and it has no effect on any woman who cannot channel. The tirangriel creates a link between the two women so that the wearer of the bracelet can inflict her wishes and desires upon the collared woman. If a man who can channel is linked to a woman by an Adam, the result is usually an excruciating death for both. Simply touching an Adam can result in pain for a man who can channel when the Adam is being worn by a woman who can channel. So do we ever, before you get to that, Jen, I just wanted to ask a question. Do we ever get an instance of a male channeler touching an Adam or trying to put on the Adam?
I don't believe so.
How does Mogedion... So, spoiler
Dana
alert.
saying twice.
What's that?
Dana says 2 times.
Twice it
Should
happens. Okay. Not when I'm not talking about the what's it called? The Adam that was made for a male channeler. But how does Mogedion get her? Yeah, Arangar. That's what I'm thinking about. So Arangar is the one who takes the Adam off of Mogedion?
I don't know. Oh.
When she's being held in Saladar, when Mogedion's prisoner in Saladar.
Yeah. Halima, right? That's Arangar?
Yeah, Halima.
I think so. Unless she gets somebody else. I don't know. I think she frees her. He frees her, whatever it is.
Yeah, he does. So I wonder if he gets... Oh, and Dana's saying, does Rand touch one after the sex igloo? I don't remember.
Did he touch one?
He touched something else.
But I know he's
igloo.
channeling Sidene, but I don't know.
Maybe he uses Sidene to
he's
take off.
Technically still a male channeler. Like, is he just
Yeah.
just in like the body? It looks like a woman.
It's not. I don't think it has to do anything about what your physical appearance is. It has to do with Sidene and Sidar. I think.
Okay.
So I'm guessing maybe he used, or Halima used the power to take the collar off, like Nynaeve's able to do it. So he didn't, or she didn't physically touch it.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Interesting. I'm sorry, Jen. You were asking more about the Adam though before that.
No, but can in a normal situation, like Warren could sense that Nynaeve could channel, or she just figured it out from like context clues?
Well, Nynaeve is different. Nynaeve is not like Nynaeve was a wilder, so she was
Oh, she
channeling
was already
already,
channeling.
right? So
So
they're using Saldam as women who can learn how
never
to channel,
channeled.
but would never channel unless taught.
But you can't sense that in a woman.
You can, but right, because I think Moraine senses that in Egwene, right?
Hmm.
They can be tested. I just don't think that the Seanchan know about that, though,
No, but
right?
what about the Damani that are captured?
They don't. Nobody knows to teach them how to do that.
No, but they can sense it. They don't. Oh, they don't know even know how to sense it.
They can
Right.
sense that women can become Saldam, right? Is that what? No, how I forget how they do it. I'm sorry. Now I should have. I'm sorry. I
They
wasn't
just
prepared to
test
talk about this
everybody. Yeah.
part at the on this episode. I figured that would be for the next episode, but
I'm sorry. I thought we would talk about the. I figured we talk about the Adam, so I thought we were talking about that today.
yeah. But Saldam, the women who can be Saldam, are people who can learn to channel, but they would not ever channel unless they were taught. Like they're not
Okay.
going to accidentally channel, so there would be
Okay.
no way for they would no, they wouldn't accidentally channel at some point. Let's put it that way. So, and I guess there's a way to test for that, right? The Aes Sedai do that, but I guess the Seanchan just don't know how to do that, or don't know that when
Well,
they're
yeah, they
testing
are
for.
testing them.
But I think they just put the bracelet on them, right? This,
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's two things here. One, their society is set up so that they cannot ever find that information out. There's no incentive for anyone to find out that Seldom can channel, right? So there's no way that they would ever teach anybody like what to do to sense. So like there is nothing that doesn't exist in their world, in their myopic view of the world. There are people who can channel, and there are people who can leash those people. That's it, right? So like it wouldn't even like they wouldn't allow themselves to think about the possibility that somebody could be taught to channel, right? So I don't think it's not a matter of like knowing the skill or not knowing the skill or sensing it or not sensing it or whatever.
mm,
Like their entire culture is based on the fact that there is a clear, distinct dichotomy between those two roles. And if anyone ever found out that there wasn't, like it would fall apart. The empire would fall apart, right? So they can't think about it. So it doesn't
yeah.
matter,
And the way they
right?
test if people can be Saldam is they literally just put the bracelet on them when it's attached to a damane and see if it
Right.
works,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then when they're testing women to be damane, that's a different test, and it's not the same test that Aes Sedai are doing to see if women can channel. Because you're right, Jen. They could just start putting the collar on random women, and
Seeing if they can control them.
I
Don't
wonder
they?
if that
But in the
happens
begin-
Don't
though.
they do that in
I'm-
Falm?
I'm thinking at the beginning, like
Yeah,
the people that were already channelers that all of a sudden, and I also don't understand how you capture, like, if you see the first woman get captured, like, how are they capturing everyone with these leashes?
well,
I don't
they've
know if
also
that would-
got a big army too. Like there's not just Saldam and Damon. I mean, they could also just use the power to like kind of
Yeah,
hold
I
people
don't know.
and whatnot.
But like those Aes Sedai, like in the beginning, should probably know, but then I guess they just lost knowledge after.
I feel like it's almost like a luck thing because Kenotis is also pointing out they just leash them. The same thing they do with Saldam, they do with Damane. They just put the collar around their neck and see if it works. So like, it's
Right.
basically the luck of the draw. If you either get like, you can either get the collar put around your neck and then be like, okay, you're a Damane now, or you can get the bracelet put on your wrist and be like, okay, you're a Saldam now. But it could it's almost like it could have happened either way. So they're actually catching people.
I don't think the collar would work if you have the potential to channel but you haven't sparked yet.
No,
Like, it works if you're a channeler, not if you have the potential to be a channeler. Like, I don't think the collar would work. But I think once
because
you
they
become
haven't
a
channeled
Soldam,
yet.
yeah, once you become a Soldam, you have channeled. You just don't realize it. You know, like the
Okay.
spark starts to happen in you, and then you can be collared.
That's why but when they put the collar on Rena, right? Is that her name? Then they could control her, right?
Right.
so that's
Yeah,
why.
but they do it
Right.
to a lot of the Soldam. They get the collars
That's
put
what
on
he's
them.
saying.
That-
After
Not-
they've channeled
Right.
once
Oh,
they
because
belong to the
they're
Damani.
Soldam, they're linking and channeling
Yeah,
at
right.
that point.
Right.
They're actually starting to channel.
Yeah. I think
So you're saying they wouldn't be able to put a collar on somebody who could learn to channel but hasn't channeled yet.
It's
Right.
really like it's like a forced link. It really is like a linking, right? But
It's
like
a
It
forced
is.
linking. It's
It is.
forced
what it is.
linking,
Yeah.
like a different kind of linking.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
where you
exactly
could
what
like,
it is.
yeah.
Just a little history behind the Adam. As you mentioned, Jen, it was made by an Aes Sedai named Dian or Diane.
Yeah, this is a hard name. Diane.
Let's do every syllable. Diane.
Diane. Diane.
Diane.
Diane.
So
Maybe it's Diane.
Diane, yeah,
It
Diane.
might be.
Who brought it to Luther Pendragon in an attempt to curry favor with him. Luther had no Aes Sedai in his army, and this discovery would make it possible for him to use Aes Sedai in his favor without fear of betrayal. Several years later, the first Soldam were found. So this is interesting, right? And we just talked to these women who can learn to channel, but then actually channel without training. So she comes up with this collar and says, hey, we can use this to control Aes Sedai, but they didn't have anybody to be on the other end of it. And it
I
wasn't
think
until
she's
years.
saying, I'll be on the other end of it. Right, for now.
Yeah, is that
Yeah,
what
like
it
an
was?
Aes Sedai could be a soul dame too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
of course they can.
So then she was probably like, yeah, I'll.
But then he still had to use Aes Sedai then to capture and force other Aes Sedais. Like it wasn't
Well, he
several
didn't have
years
any
later.
Aes Sedai in the beginning.
I know, but what it's saying is like he could now use this to use Aes Sedai without fear of reprisal or like treachery or betrayal, but he would need Aes Sedai to use the Adam against other Aes Sedai. So he still did have to fear that. Like it wasn't years later till they found Saddam
Right. It
or
was just
figured
her
that part out.
with like a bunch of people on different leashes.
I guess, yeah.
Until
I guess.
he put her on the leash.
Yep. So thinking that she would be rewarded for giving Luther a gift that would hand him the power of the Aes Sedai, Diane or Diane instead became quite literally a prisoner of her own device.
Idiot.
Yeah.
Idiot.
Yeah, once the Adam
God.
gained regular use, the title Aes Sedai disappeared completely from Seanchan, and those who could channel were renamed Marath Damane, or those who must be leashed. I could see this being like if they were doing like a television show about this. They could do a whole television show, first of all, about the history of Seanchan, which would be a really cool show, and I would watch that. Like this would be like
Like a History Channel episode.
oh, that would be great if they. Oh my God, they should do like and like bring up people like they're history experts and talking about it.
We should just do
Stay
that.
loyal.
Oh, you know what? We have to reach out to Lauren and do that. He could do all like the animation stuff and like the visual stuff, and then
Lauren, you could do all the hard things. We'll
and
just do the fun stuff.
We'll get the people from the community to be the experts. We'll dress up in like suits and wear glasses and
Sit
pipes.
in front of a bookcase.
Yeah, sit in a library and say, well, in the 3rd century for year, Luther Pendrag. But this would be the moment. This is like the soap opera moment where you find out that like your lover is your mother or something like that, and that she killed your sister.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
All right.
like that. All right, moving on from the Atom. We'll talk a little bit about the class structure of the Seanchan and their society. So it is based on the concept that everyone has a place in which to serve and everyone should be in their place. It's a very rigid class structure with little movement between the ranks. Scholars do agree that the current culture and customs of the Seanchan have been in place since the time before Luther's arrival. So Jen, this is like kind of what you talked about, how they were, asking about various cultures since there were so many,
Yeah.
since it was such a large place. But apparently the culture was very similar throughout, even before Luther came over. And that the culture didn't really change that much. So I have here saying that it is not known for certain if there was a feudal attempt to change some of the underlying customs or if the quote, Seanchan simply absorbed their invaders.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's true to life.
Well, I was going to ask
That's
that
all I'll
question,
say.
and I'm stealing your thunder, Tom. I don't know if you have anything on this though, but can you think in history of any real life examples of this, like where invaders came, took over a land, but then they kind of adopted the culture of the people they invaded?
Oh,
Yes.
Thanks, Tom. Next
Um,
anyway.
up,
my voice
dramatic
is shot, man. This
pause.
is gonna come later. But so yeah, I think there are some historical examples of that happening. Um, but I think also, like, from my understanding and my reading of how how the consolidation went was that um they basically kind of take the they absorb culture and like reflect it back, right? And it's not about the like Shawshan's not about like changing your culture. It's about adding our custom onto your culture. And you see that even in the return, right? They don't change Ebudar. They don't say Ebudar, your culture is gone, our culture is here. They say keep yourself, keep all your festivals, keep all your feast days, do all of that. Our customs override yours now. Our class structure overrides yours,
Mm-hmm.
but yours remains. And I think that's the way that they found the most success. Um, you see it time and again in the later books, even like um, in Towers of Midnight, right? I think it's Towers of Midnight where Rand goes there. It's Towers of Midnight or the Gathering Store where Rand goes with the attempt to just with the thought that he's just gonna wipe it out. Um, right? Um, like everyone's, with the exception of people who can channel, are just at peace and like calm, and no one's rebelling against all of that. And it's a lot easier to swallow being conquered if your life as a regular person doesn't change, right? So I think
Yeah,
it's right for the most part.
yeah,
I think it's a successful way. I think they have lessons learned from the 300 years plus 200 years of fighting and the consolidation, right?
yeah. It's funny you say that because, you know, I sometimes argue with other people who, not to get too much into politics, but like, people will be like, oh, this person's the president or this person's the governor. Blah, blah, blah. I hate that person, blah, blah, blah. And I always bring up the question, well, how has your life, like your day to day life, really changed? Has it changed that much? And most of the time it's no. So then
Right.
why does it bother you so much? Your life
Mm.
really hasn't changed much at all with a different person being the governor or the president or whatever. And I think that's exactly what you were saying.
Yeah, I think right. Obviously it's not the same for everybody in either instance,
Mm-hmm.
right? But um, and but I think that for the Shanshan, right, to go into a place, and if you go into a place and you try and eradicate their culture and put your culture in their place, you're gonna have a harder time getting people to go along with that. Like culture and your ancestry and generations of whatever, like that stays with you. That's how you're raised. That's how you're born. Blah blah blah. Right? If you go, hey, do everything you used to do, all of that is valid. We don't want to change any of it. Just we're in charge.
You just
And
take
like,
orders from us instead.
right,
Yeah.
right. That's all.
And I
And
think that's
then
how they're so successful. I mean, later on in the story,
mhm.
they're actually bringing order to a lot of places that are in chaos and unsafe. And
Yeah, and my reading on this, and I know this happens, and I guess I had a it wasn't front of mind until I was doing research for these episodes, right? Right, after um after the events that we think will take place in season 2 of the show, um, they run away, but before they come back, before before everyone comes back, like they have spies here who are like asking questions and
mm-hmm.
talking about things and like they're pinpointing where is there unrest? Where is the largest opportunity for us to come in and easily be able to put order in place? Because there isn't, right? So the places they pick are intentional, right? In
Yeah.
regards to, like, they didn't go north, they didn't go to the borderlands, right? They went to the south and they went to the east because those places didn't have strong, stable government.
Yeah. They went for the low hanging fruit, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So just a little bit into the class structure. So the Dakavale are the lowest class. In the old tongue, it means those who are property. So they're slaves, clearly. But interestingly enough, while slavery did exist, not all slaves were of the lowest class. So there are Sojin, who are considered upper class slaves and rank higher than commoners and merchants. So we have slaves that are the lowest of the low, right? Then you have your commoners, your merchants, who are just really slightly above the slaves. But then you have like the upper class slaves who actually rank higher than the commoners. And some of the most honored and most and powerful members of society were property of the imperial family. And in fact, it was considered an honor to become the property of nobility, and something freeborn people actually aspired towards.
Bizarre, but hey, all right.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting when they do this in the show, because I'm wondering if they're going to try to shy away from this because they feel like they're going to be touching on too much of a nerve there. I hope they,
The slavery thing.
yeah,
They're
like
leaning into it, man.
having people
Are
who
they?
are actually like happy to be slaves.
Oh, that part of things? No, I think they are. I think
think
it's
they will.
really. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's all. I'm thinking of Game of Thrones with like I forget the name of them now. The army.
The
The
Unsullied.
yeah, they're kind of like they had slavery. She freed all she freed all
Yeah.
the slaves. So there was slavery, and it's not like this is our hero with a slave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree.
Right. I think they seem to really want to be leaning in on the show to the complexity of like the different cultures and political currents and all the rest of that stuff. That's what makes the series stand out, right? And if Seanchan are just one note bad, the whole latter half of the series loses a lot of its texture and a lot of its ambiguity.
Well, I think
Right?
in
The
the
fact that
beginning you are right. I mean, if you
yeah,
read the books, right, the Seanchan are bad. All Seanchan are bad, and whatever they do is bad. But as you start getting through the series, you're like, wait a second. There's a certain, there's obviously layers of the Seanchan people, and there's a certain indoctrination that's happened
Mhm.
over, clearly centuries and centuries as we go back to the time of when Seanchan was conquered. That this is just one of the way of life for them, and this always kind of reminds me of how we sometimes look back and judge people back like 70, 80, 90 years ago based on standards today,
mhm.
and how that's kind of unfair. uh, but so this kind of like feels a little bit like that, like these people are brought up that way, this is their society, they don't know any other way. So
Mhm.
are you going to say like the common Seanchan person who thinks Damane or all, channelers should be leashed and collared and that's the way they should be to be safe? Is that because are they evil people because they think that? Or is it just because that's the only thing they've ever known and that's what they've been told their whole lives?
Right. And that's not to say like, well, it's okay that they're leashed. That's not what it is. But like, is it okay to condemn someone morally for not knowing that there was a different option?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
there was no like it from a general Shanchan Commodore, Merchant, whatever, there's no other school of thought. There's no like Damane, Marith Damane need to be leashed because that's what they are. That's what their name is. Like
They're
it's like
dangerous, they've been told that their
Yeah.
whole life
right,
yeah.
and like it's like there's no like, like I guess to Jen's earlier point, one of the one of the things that you have to suspend disbelief on in the series, other than magic, I guess, is that some cultures are monolithic, right? And there isn't like political dissent in places, but like I think that pardon me, the series strongly hints at why there isn't political dissent. There's infighting in the imperial family for favor with the empress, whatever. But the empress, may she live forever, right? And the fact that there's nobody who's like, why are we following the empress here, right? Like maybe she's wrong. Maybe this empire thing isn't cool. Like they hint strongly in the series that like the throne, crystal throne, right? I believe that's what it's called,
Yeah,
is terangrial.
it
That
is.
like
Yes.
right, and that when you see it, you are overcome with devotion to the empress, and
Yeah.
that like there's no other option. So there's no like literally from like anybody on down, like that's just it. Like the empire is, and that's the sentence. Like
Yeah.
Yeah. The empire is the empress, or the monarch is ruling. Um, who is part of the highest class, which is called the blood, as we continue into our classes or
nice
class
segue,
structure.
Joe.
Yes. So the blood were originally descendants of Luther Pendrag himself or a member of his army. This kind of reminds me a bit of like Alexander the Great, right? And him and his generals kind of, when Alexander died, his generals kind of divided up his lands.
Mm-hmm.
And then their descendants, like even if you think about Egypt and Ptolemy and all the Ptolemies, right? Ptolemy was one of Alexander's generals, and his descendants kind of ruled Egypt, um, going on after that. Um, but so there is some class movement, right? We said there was rarely any class movement, but there is, and some people can be raised to the blood, and it happens in the books. We see that happen there. And once you're raised to the blood, your descendants become blood. So you're like, it's like being turned into nobility, and then obviously your children become noble when they're born as well, and that is rare. Um, so there are also strong ties to appearance and physical manifestations of rank in the Seanchan Empire. So it's kind of makes it easy for people to see what rank you are because of the way they dress, the way they look. Um, for instance, members of the blood shave the sides of their head, leaving a mohawk type crest that can flow down their backs, which I'm very excited to see in the show. I want to see all the hairstyles. Um, a voice of the blood wears the left side shaved and the right side braided, while a voice of the throne shaves the right side and wears the left side braided. So you keep an eye out for that. And members of the imperial family shave their head entirely. And you might be wondering, well, if they shave their head entirely, what happens to people who just go naturally bald, like commoners and things like that? Well, they wear wigs or hats because
Will they wear wigs?
yes, they wear wigs or hats because I believe, and it doesn't say it outright anywhere that I could find, but I imagine if there was a bald person found somewhere in the streets who was not a member of the royal family, they'd probably be killed or hung from the tower.
I have a question about the blood because I don't
Go
remember
ahead.
this. Does it ever happen where like a person is of the true blood, like looking down upon a person who's raised to the blood? So I feel like if I was a true descendant, I'd be like, I would look down upon those who had been raised.
So there are definitely different levels in the blood, right? We get that in the books, I
There's
believe.
like the high blood and the low blood or
Yeah,
something?
there's definitely like the high blood and those who are kind of a little bit more powerful, like for instance, like Sorath, right? She's a higher blood than say
Yes.
who gets raised to the blood? Aegeanin gets raised to the blood,
Does
right?
she?
Yeah.
Okay.
But she's kind of not on the level of Sorath. And they do have families, right? There's noble families. So I imagine just like there was in kind of medieval or Renaissance Europe where there was, families that hold more power. It's very similar to that. And of course, we can't talk about the blood without talking about lacquered fingernails. All right. So that was another sign of visible rank. And we talked a little bit about this last week, and we can kind of compare it to what we saw in the teaser. So the more lacquered fingernails, the higher the rank. All nobles wear long, exaggerated pinky nails. All right. So that's all your nobles. And this gen is getting into your levels of the blood now. right?
Okay.
So pinkies, all the blood wear those lacquered pinky fingernails. All right. Um, the High Lords and ladies. So this is now we're getting to like Soroth and Torok. Paint the nails on their ring fingers as well. Right. So now we're talking pinkies and rings. This is the higher blood. Members of the royal family have 3 painted long nails on the little finger, ring finger, and the middle finger. All right, leaving only the thumb and index unlacquered. And then the ruler will have all 5 nails painted, so the empress or the emperor. And then the color of the lacquer is indicative of their noble house. So in the trailer, we saw the forefinger and the middle finger lacquered, which goes against this what we just said at all.
It was the it wasn't the pinky and the.
No, it was
No,
the
it
middle.
was
finger?
the pointer in the middle.
It was the 2, yeah, the pointer and the middle finger were lacquered.
Okay. What if you break a nail?
Okay.
It's a genuine question.
I
You have
think
to start growing it all over again. Like
don't
you
know.
yes.
have to hide in your house until it grows back.
Is it like a shameful thing you've brought upon your
Yeah.
house and yourself?
I think. Well, yeah, I think it actually would be a shameful thing, right? The point of that.
You'd probably
is,
just blame it on a slave and have them killed, is my guess.
Right.
Yeah, but you still have to. grow
Oh,
back.
Mayhem brings up a thing. Damane heals it. Could a Damane like
heal a
heal
fingernail?
it?
It's not an injury.
Isn't a fingernail like dead? Is it dead?
Dead.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, so I don't know if it
Yeah,
could be
once you
healed.
get past like like half an inch or whatever. But like I think that
No mayhem, impossible.
He's like, it's magic. It's just...
there's two things on this, right? Right. One, obviously, the point of the blood growing their fingernails long is because they're not supposed to need to use their hands anymore. They're so high up that like people should be doing anything manual for them.
Yeah.
Right. In the right.
Yeah,
So
but if you
that's
catch your nail getting into your,
like you
whatever.
go to
What's the
sleep,
thing that
right?
people
If you're
carry-
sleeping in bed, how do you not accidentally break a nail when they're like really long?
well, that's the other thing, right? So I'm going to ask you guys. We talked about it a little bit when we talked about the trailer, but we didn't really get in detail. When you were reading the books and you heard, oh, pinky nail, longer, lacquered, ring finger, longer, lacquered, how long were you thinking?
Probably
that
about
long.
4 or 5 inches, I would say.
Yeah, a little.
I would say like
Yeah.
an inch past your finger was what I was thinking.
What?
Really?
Like
No,
a
I
Coke
thought
nail.
I
Like,
thought
was
they were
thinking-
like I thought it was basically like probably twice as long as your finger.
The thing is,
Not twice
if
as
you-
long, but
if
as
you-
long as your finger.
If you're growing your nails out that long, they're not going to be straight like that. They start to curl.
Yeah. Have
Well,
you ever
that's-
seen pictures of those people, like
Well,
the Guinness
they're
Book of World
lacquered.
Yes,
Records?
it's disgusting.
Right. They're not like you're not letting them curl. You're straightening and hardening them, right? So like, but yes.
It's
But
got the black lung.
I just feel like yeah, I did not picture them
Long, very long.
ridiculously long, like Guinness Book of World
Yeah.
Records long.
Even if you don't use your hands, that's still too long.
Like you can't scratch yourself with
You
those
can't do
nails.
anything.
Right.
Like
How do you get dressed?
so, the Empress has
You
10
don't. Somebody dresses
claws.
you. That's the whole
like,
thing.
what is she doing with her? How does she? You can't even pick
Right.
anything up. People have to pick up your food and put it into your mouth for
Yes.
you.
That's the point.
Like after a certain point, I know, like I don't want to do anything, but like leave me alone. Let me eat a sandwich.
No,
But I can't because I have to do this, and like
Hold the
bend my
sandwich with your
fingers back.
palms,
Yeah,
and then bring your head up from underneath,
put it on the plate and then lean down and bite it like
somebody
that.
feeds you.
like a horse. Just put the feed bag over my head.
Yes, that's very royal. We got the royal feed bag for the Empress. Oh,
I'm just posting
God.
images of people
Yeah,
with extremely long fingernails.
they're absolutely disgusting.
This is the Emperor of
Ugh.
Seanchan.
That's what she looks like. Look at the Empress. She's right there.
May she live forever.
May she,
No,
may
I
her
don't.
Fingernails grow forever.
May your fingernails grow for. May they grow forever. No, I pictured them like as long as your finger. So like it would be your finger would basically be doubled in length.
Yeah, a little bit. Not like.
Yeah, I didn't even picture them that long.
That's why I really thought they were fake. Like you strapped them on, and then when you went home, you just took them off.
No,
So
that's
it's like you, like in the
I was about to say maybe some of the blood do that, and it's like there's like a whole like maybe a big shameful scenario where like they find out that the fingernails are fake, and that person gets like demoted from the blood.
Maybe if you
That could be an
break it,
episode in the
if you
Seanchan soap
break it, you
opera.
wear a fake one until it grows back. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe.
Like if you get a bad haircut, you wear a wig, something like that.
Yeah. Why do you think? So this is something that I'm surprised though I haven't gone on Facebook yet to look at it and see all the people who are like saying that the show's been ruined because of the fingernails being different. But I'm sure they're there. But why do you think they changed it? Like it's pretty clear and explicit in the books.
So I would say this, like, if they were like I pictured them, too many people have nails like that now. Like if you give them nails that are 1 inch or 2 inches long, they look like they're from that show with Nicey Nash that just finished up.
I think he's talking about the wrong finger. Is that what you're talking
Oh,
about?
I thought you were
That
talking
they're
about
on the wrong
longness of the
finger.
No, I'm talking about why they changed. Why on the show or the clip that we saw, it was different fingers that were lacquered.
Right.
It was
Not
the
the
index
not
and
the
middle.
length. It's that they're on the different fingers. I don't know. Maybe it's just easier to like play around with them as an actress.
Yeah.
Because like, what are you gonna do with the back of your hand? Like to make it look cool, you could like really tap something with your first two fingers.
I feel like that could have been a great opportunity for drinking a cup of coffee with like the the two fingers, the pinky and the ring finger extended with the nails coming out.
Yeah, I don't know how he's gonna pick up his cough without stabbing himself in the face.
This.
I mean, it seems like from the explanations we've gotten of other things, like why, like with the ruby hilted dagger, why they moved that was, we heard it was practical, right? When it was at the bottom, like you couldn't see it, you just didn't see the ruby, so when it didn't play well on television because you couldn't see it.
Right.
I think the gesturing will be cooler with the first two fingers.
Yeah.
If you have
the Heron Mark blade, right?
Things on your pinky and ring finger, like some people can't move those separately.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
You can't like tap them.
Maybe they tried it
when she went like this. Right. Even just that movement from the trailer, like you can't do that with the last two fingers.
Yeah, it could have been they actually tried it and she just kept breaking. Because
maybe.
Yeah. Interesting, right? Because even the Heron Mark blade, people talked about, well, what they do that for, and I get it. Like you can't see the heron if somebody's holding the sword in their hands, so they wanted to make it more visible. I get it. It's TV, so you want to make things more visible, but I have a feeling it's practical. Maybe that's the question we ask next time.
I just don't think it matters, and I don't understand why anyone would care what fingernails were long. Like, I'd say out of 100 people, if you just asked them without letting them look it up, they wouldn't know which fingers and
I bet you everybody went to look it up just so they could complain. They probably didn't even
I didn't know. Yeah,
and then looked it up and then complained and said, "This show's woke. Those are woke fingernails."
Rafe is just out to ruin everything.
Yeah.
Even down to the fingernails.
I want to wrap up with just one last bit, right? We've been talking about the classes, so let's just talk about the ruler of the Seanchan. Currently, the empire is ruled by the Empress, may she live forever, from the court of the 9 moons. And the Empress is an absolute monarch of Seanchan and considered the empire made flesh. Right? Succession to that throne is determined by the current monarch, who chooses an heir from the immediate royal family. So birth rank or sex has nothing to do with this, as some of the other kingdoms that we meet in Wheel of Time, like Andor or Kyrian or anything like that, right? So it's not firstborn son.
Can you remove the clip of you saying sex has nothing to do with this?
All right, I'll try. If I remember, I'll do that.
Okay, there you go.
So it's not like the firstborn daughter, like it is in Andor, or I don't even know what some of the other ones are. That we don't really get explicit lines, succession lines. It's just kind of the closest in relation to that person. But anyway, so the way they do it in Seanchan, it leads to much plotting and court intrigue, which is encouraged as family members vie for the Empress's favor. And the Empress, may she live forever, resides on the crystal throne, to which Tom mentioned before is a tirangriel that causes anyone who approaches it to feel immense awe and wonder. And do we ever get to see that in the books? No, right? Though Tuon mentions it so many times about the dragon, right? Like approaching her in the crystal throne, like it's part of their prophecies.
Right. And I imagine we're going to talk about their prophecies and a certain advisor to Luthor in part 2 of this.
Sure. I haven't peeked ahead though, Tom, so I'm not really sure what's in store for the next part.
Well, I'm just saying because you said this is the last thing we're going to talk about. So
It is the last thing we're going to talk about, and that's as far as I got in my notes, so I don't know what's coming next. Even I'm surprised, and I'm on the edge of my toes.
The edge of your toes.
Yeah, I don't think that's an expression, right?
It is now, baby.
The edge of my seat. There's no expression with toes, is there?
You're on your toes. I'm keeping
On
you
my
On your
toes.
toes, on the edge of your seat.
I'm on my toes on the edge of my seat at the same time.
Oh my god.
All right. Any questions about what we've covered so far? Any things you wanted to add to this, or anything else?
I had one more note that when you said that the Doc Hoval was the lowest class.
Mhm.
The Damani are actually lower, and sexual attraction to Damani is akin to bestiality.
Oh boy! Oh, I didn't even realize Damane were technically
They're-
lower than Doc
they're
Oval.
not
Yeah,
human.
they're like pets.
They
Yeah.
are treated like pets, and that makes
I
sense.
was like,
for
oh, that's
bestiality.
awkward.
Yeah, that is weird. That's another episode for the soap opera, the Seanchan soap opera. Somebody's got to jump on this. This is a great idea.
All my
right.
Seanchan.
Oh my Seanchan. All my Damane. What do we got here? General Empire? No.
I know. I'm thinking of different. I can't think of any other.
Days of Our
Days of
Seanchan.
Our. No, it's no. We should have quit while we
It's
were ahead.
Doc
These
Hovel
are-
turns.
Oh no, they're all terrible. Come
All
on.
right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry
We
about
need
that,
more time to
people.
work on that.
Yeah. We're not good at
Okay, our
we're
next
up to-
Patreon episode should be you have to write a summary of a opera episode from Living in Sean.
a treatment or a pilot
Like
episode.
yeah, everybody writes like an episode summary of a soap opera in Seanchan.
Oh, I wish I could do that.
You can. You can do anything you want, Joe.
If you put your mind to it, just like
Yes.
George McFly said.
I believe I can fly.
All right. So you ready to wrap it up here?
Yeah.
Jen, do we have any new patrons to thank?
We do. Joining the company of Chelvannon, we have Danny Mullen. Thank you very much, Danny, for your support. And thank you to all of our current patrons, our past patrons, and our future patrons.
Thank
We
you.
love you and we appreciate you.
We do. You're the best patrons. Danny, you're the best this week. I want to remind everyone to follow us on social media. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Join us over in Discord to continue the conversation there. Rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts, and check out our merchandise and Patreon pages. You can support us that way. Links to all the aforementioned information is included in the show notes to this episode. I want to announce, we have to announce the winner of last week's or this week's raffle. Tom had asked the question. This is part of our 4 weeks of giveaways. This is week 2. Tom had asked the question in Discord, in the Donald Finn introduction scene that was showed at New York Comic Con, what does Matt dip his finger in? And the answer was honey cakes or something to that effect. So we had a lot of people answer the question right, and I'm going to right now randomly select one of those people and announce them here. This is exciting, right? All right, here we go. I'm rolling the quote-unquote die.
Virtual die.
And the winner is the Roof Mistress herself, Leia, from Threefold Talk. Congratulations, Leia. We'll reach out to you to get your information so we could send you your wonderful prize, which was a Talk Around Riyadh t-shirt.
Woo!
Congratulations. So keep an eye out on social media for the next week's question. It'll be about this episode. So obviously you had to have listened to the episode, which you probably have since this is the end of the episode, unless you just skip to the end. We will be this one will be posted on Instagram, right? So week 1 we did Twitter, week 2 we did Discord, week 3 we're gonna go on Instagram for this one. So if you don't follow us on Instagram or don't have an Instagram account, go create an account, follow us. We'll be posting the question on Monday when we release the episode. And the only thing you have to do is just comment with the answer. And you'll be entered into it, and we will announce the winner next Friday. All right. I want to also let everybody know that I'm going to be on Twatcast on this Tuesday, October 8th. So this is the day after this episode releases. They are continuing their I guess, journey into the Wheel of Time companion and are up to the letter P. So they invited me for my last name, Perry. That's at 8:30 on YouTube if you want to watch it live. And I believe they release it afterwards as a podcast episode. So if you could always just listen to it that way. And I also want to mention that, unfortunately, there was a death today that I just found out about before the show. Robbie Coltrane passed away today. Rubius Hagrid.
Very
from
sad.
the Harry Potter. Yeah, that's really sad. I didn't know.
He was young.
He was. Yeah, but apparently though he was been sick for a couple of years though, so it wasn't like a surprise to it wasn't like a sudden thing.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently he was sick for a few years and it wasn't unexpected, so to speak. So we're sad. Poor Robbie Hagrid.
Angela Lansbury earlier in the week.
Yeah, Angela Lansbury passed away.
Oh, yeah. Both passed away before our show started, so we can't be blamed for either of these deaths.
Yeah, nobody died while we were recording.
So far that we know of.
Cheers to the passing of the two of them.
Mrs. Potts and Rubius Hagrid.
May the last mother's embrace hold them. I don't remember.
The last embrace of the mother welcome you home. Is that
Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome.
You said it better than I did. Any last thoughts or words before we wrap it up here?
Shandire. Wait, I had one of the Seanchan cities I forgot I wanted to mention. Asenbire. That was one of the I made a note of that one. That's one of the cities in northern Seanchan.
Shandar, right? Shandar is the capital, right?
Shandar. Yeah, Shandar. But Asenbire is one of the cities.
Asenbire sounds fun.
Yeah. And Shandar, Asenbire, Shandar.
I'll leave everybody here with this final word with these final words.
Let's do butt sex.
Thanks everyone for listening, and you'll hear us next time.